You send a message, you wait. They read it, you can see it right there. That little word, seen. And then nothing. No reply, no explanation. Just silence. And something inside you shifts. Not sadness exactly, not anger yet. Something harder to name. A low, humming panic that starts somewhere in your chest and slowly spreads. Your eyes keep going back to the screen. You check again, still nothing, and you start to wonder, did I say something wrong? Are they busy? Are they ignoring me on purpose? Why does this feel so unbearable? You are not in danger. Nobody hit you. Nobody screamed at you. Nothing actually happened. And yet your brain is behaving like you just survived something. Like something is deeply, fundamentally wrong. That feeling is real. That discomfort is real. And it is not you being dramatic. It is not you being too sensitive. There is a very specific, very ancient reason your brain reacts this way. And once you understand it, everything changes. This is called the silent treatment effect. And psychologists consider it one of the most painful social experiences a human being can go through. Not because of what was said, but because of what was not said. Silence, it turns out, is one of the most powerful psychological weapons in existence. And your brain is completely unprepared to handle it calmly. Psychologist Kipling Williams spent over 30 years studying this exact phenomenon. He dedicated his career to understanding what happens to people when they are ignored, when they are excluded, when they are made invisible. He called it ostracism. And his findings were startling. Not just because of how much it hurt people, but because of who it hurt. It did not matter if the person ignoring you was a close friend or a complete stranger. It did not matter if you liked them or despised them. It did not even matter if you knew the ignoring was fake. Your brain still registered it as a threat. Your brain still reacted with pain. Because your brain does not evaluate the source before it reacts. It just reacts. Williams ran a simple computer game called Cyberball. Participants would play a virtual ball tossing game with what they thought were two other real players online. But the other players were not real. They were programmed. And at some point in the game, those programmed players would stop throwing the ball to the participant. They would just pass it between themselves, leaving the real participant out. And even though the stakes were zero, even though no one knew these fake players, even though it was just a silly ball-tossing game on a screen, people reported feeling genuinely hurt, genuinely rejected. Some felt angry, some felt invisible, some felt their mood drop significantly after just a few minutes of being left out of a meaningless game. That is how powerful this instinct is. That is how deep it runs. And then the brain scans came. Scientists put people through social exclusion scenarios inside MRI machines. And what they found changed everything. The same region of the brain that activates when you experience physical pain, when you break a bone, when you burn your hand, when your body is actually being damaged, lit up in exactly the same way when people were socially excluded. That region is called the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, and it does not distinguish between a punch and the ignored message, between a wound on your skin and a wound to your social world. To your brain, pain is pain, rejection is injury, silence is an attack. So why did this happen? Why did evolution build us this way? Why would your brain treat something as harmless as an unread message the same way it treats physical danger? To answer that, you have to go back. Way back. Not to medieval times. Not to ancient civilization. Further than that. Back to a time before cities, before language as we know it, before any of the structures of modern life existed. Back to when your ancestors lived in small groups of 20 to 50 people moving across open land. surviving by staying together. In that world, the group was everything. The group meant food. The group meant warmth. The group meant protection from predators, from the cold, from every threat the environment could throw at you. A lone human on the open savanna was not just vulnerable. A lone human was almost certainly dead. There was no backup plan. There was no alternative. You either belonged to the group or you did not survive. It was that simple and that brutal. So your brain evolved a system, a early warning system. You could apologize, adjust your behavior, make yourself useful again, do whatever it took to stay inside the circle. And staying inside the circle meant staying alive. That system is still running inside you right now, every single day. And it cannot tell the difference between your ancestor being pushed to the edge of a prehistoric tribe and you being left on red by someone you went on 2 dates with. To that ancient system, both feel identical. Both trigger the same alarm. Loud, immediate, urgent. Because in the world that system was built for, hesitation was deadly. You did not have the luxury of thinking rationally about it. You felt the signal and you acted. Fast. So now here you are in the modern world, sitting in your room, completely safe, and someone does not reply to your message for 3 hours, and that ancient alarm goes off. Danger. Something is wrong. You're being pushed out. Fix it now. And you feel it in your body. Your stomach tightens. Your focus narrows. You cannot think about anything else. Not because you are weak, not because you are needy, but because a system built over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution just activated inside you. And it was never designed for a world of smartphones and read receipts and people who are just busy at work. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Williams found that people respond to ostracism in one of 2 distinct ways. And which way you go says a lot about how your nervous system is wired. Some people shrink. When ignored, they go quiet. They pull back. They start overanalyzing everything they said. They apologize even when they have nothing to apologize for. They try to make themselves smaller, less threatening, more agreeable. They double down on people-pleasing. They become almost desperate to smooth things over, to restore the connection, to make the discomfort stop. This is the freeze and appease response. The nervous system deciding that the safest path back to belonging is to become less of a problem. Other people explode. When ignored, they lash out. They send multiple follow-up messages. They create conflict just to get a reaction. They would rather be screamed at than ignored because at least being screamed at confirms they exist. They pick fights. They manufacture drama. Because any response, even a negative one, feels better than silence. This is the fight response dressed up as social behavior. The nervous system deciding that making noise is safer than disappearing. Both of these reactions come from exactly the same wound. A desperate need to be seen again, to be acknowledged, to exist in someone else's awareness again. Because being ignored does not just hurt your feelings, it does something far deeper than that. Williams called it the invisibility wound, and it is one of the most accurate phrases in all of psychology. When someone ignores you, they are not just withholding a reply, they are withholding proof that you exist. And as strange as that sounds, your sense of self is partly constructed through other people, through being seen, through being responded to, through the confirmation in someone else's eyes that you are real, that you matter, that you are here. When that confirmation disappears, something inside you starts to come apart. Your confidence drops. Your sense of belonging drops. You start questioning things you had no reason to question before. Did I do something wrong? Are they angry at me? Am I too much? Am I not enough? Is there something fundamentally wrong with me? None of those questions are logical. None of them follow from the actual evidence. But your brain is not looking for logic right now. It is looking for safety. It is looking for proof that the tribe still wants you. And until it gets that proof, it will keep searching. Keep spiraling. Keep asking questions that have no good answers. Researcher Naomi Eisenberger, who led many of the brain scan studies on social pain, described it this way. Social pain is not a metaphor. It is not a figure of speech. It is processed by the same neural machinery as physical pain, which means the same things that help with physical pain can sometimes help with social pain too. Distraction, movement, time, connection with others, giving your nervous system something else to process. So what do you actually do when this happens to you? When you feel that low hum of panic after being ignored? The first step is to name it, not to fight it, not to shame yourself for feeling it, just name it. This is an ostracism response. My ancient brain detected a social threat and activated an alarm. That is what this is. Naming it creates a tiny bit of distance between you and the feeling, enough to breathe. The second step is to reality check it. Ask yourself honestly, is this actually rejection or is it just silence? Because silence has 100 possible explanations. People get busy. People get overwhelmed. People forget to reply and then feel awkward about replying late. People go through hard things that have nothing to do with you. Silence is not evidence. It is just silence. The third step is to not let the wound make the decision. This is the hardest part, because when that alarm is firing, everything in you wants to act, to send the follow-up message, to create the conflict, to do something to make the feeling stop. And sometimes that action makes things much worse. The desperate message, the passive-aggressive comment, the manufactured drama. These feel like relief in the moment, but they rarely produce the outcome you actually want. Give it time before you act. Let the alarm quiet down first. And the fourth step, the one that matters most in the long run, is to understand what this feeling is actually telling you about yourself. The fact that being ignored hurts this much is not a flaw. It is not a weakness. It is not evidence that you are broken or too sensitive or need too much. It is evidence that you are wired for connection, that belonging matters to you on a level so deep it is written into your neurology, that you are at your core a social creature who needs to be seen and known and valued by other people. That need is one of the most human things about you. It connects you to every person who has ever lived, every ancestor who survived because they stayed close to their people, every child who reached for someone's hand, every human being who has ever sat in silence waiting for a reply and felt that low, humming ache. You were built to belong. That need never goes away. It just sometimes fires at the wrong time, toward the wrong people in a world your brain was never designed for. And knowing that does not make the silence less loud, but it makes you a little less afraid of what it means. Because now you know. It is not a verdict. It is just an alarm. And alarms can be acknowledged. And then gently turned down. Is this you? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next one.